No conjecture, just straight up truth, no tracer. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court is expected to issue rulings, including on Trump's emergency request to weaken federal injunctions, blocking his executive order aiming to limit birthright citizenship. On June 27, 2025, that is today, the last day of its term, the order challenges the long-standing interpretation of the 14th Amendment and could affect roughly 150,000 babies born each and every year. This is the last day of the term that we guys will be looking at, and they may be ruling on birthright citizenship. And it states that the U.S. Supreme Court may rule today on Donald Trump's attempt to broadly enforce his executive order to limit, not overturn, to limit birthright citizenship, a move that would affect thousands of babies born each year as the president seeks a major shift in how the U.S. Constitution has long been understood. Now, why this is important? Because people, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, and all of the above have been talking about Black Americans and how this may affect our citizenship in America. Well, first question I have that I know most people are going to have, like, where we're going to go? Where are you going to deport us to? We're foundational to the land. We've been here before the birth of 1526. If you guys are not familiar with the year 1526 of Foundation Black American, and you don't have to coin that term, you don't have to accept that term, but if your family have been here before the 1790 census, more than likely you're a foundational Black American. Okay, you can do your ancestry, you can look at your records, etc. You can trace back your lineage. But nonetheless, they're stating for people who have already been on the land, and some of us, not many, were brought over by ships. Roughly $400,000, give or take 100,000. But people believe there was millions and millions of African slaves that were brought over to the Americas. No, they were brought to mostly to Brazil, as well as the Caribbean. And this is very important because I do want to provide context of Black people saying, wow, Black Americans should be fearful or aware or concerned with birthright citizenship. Because I really want to debunk this entire argument because I believe it's silly. I believe it's stupid. And there are some people who sound very intelligent. They're very eloquent with their words. They say all the right things that make people believe and get them geared up and motivated to go do something that they shouldn't do in the first place. Now, because of some of the language that's going to be in this next video clip, I just want to put a trigger warning for young children or people who don't take to that particular language kindly. But I do want to share this video clip with you guys.
My point to you and all the rest of the FBA gangsters is that when we start talking about birthright citizenship in this country, it is always already about Black people. Right now, they're talking about it in conversation to immigration. What we know is individuals that understand the law is that the law sets precedents. If you're able to overturn a particular law, that law and what precedent it says also becomes overturned. So when we start talking about Donald Trump being able to sign over an initiative to overturn birthright citizenship, my argument is that is going to have an impact on the political, social, economic reality of Black people, because that particular law is what literally birthed our citizenship into faction. Number two argument is that even if you believe that you don't care about, you feel me, the Black immigrants, the Haitians, you feel me, the Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, even if you say you don't care about them, right? We know that them are always in proximity to us and how we live. We know that whether you live in LA, Houston, New York, Chicago, Miami, Black communities are always in proximity to the immigrant communities. My argument is that we understand this, and it's the reason why it's important, is that these policing and the surveillance and the targeting always spills over into the Black community. Always spills over into the Black community. So while there are surveillance in, you feel me, the Dominican community or surveillance in the Haitian community, that surveillance also has an impact on how we live in proximity to who they surveillance and who they targeting.
This is where the conversation gets convoluted, where people try to blend other people's struggles, other people's protests, and try to make it Black. Because first he started off how the birthright citizenship or the overturning or the limitation is going to affect Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. He said FBA gangsters is trying to be derogatory. And don't get me wrong, I believe that the brother is very intelligent. He's speaking very eloquently. But the problem with this is when people listen to people who don't give you proof, who don't provide evidence, they speak outside both sides of their neck because they can speak well. That's the problem I have. So here on Black Logic, I try to deal in truth. And anytime that I give you my own rhetoric or conjecture or what I feel or being very opinionated. I state that this is my opinion. This is my rhetoric. But people speak emphatically as if this is the truth. Well, what did the president say? I know a lot of people are saying lots of things about Donald Trump. I'm no Trump supporter. I didn't vote for the Republican Party. I'm just a black person who is an American who loved this country. But when we have other people to try to coerce us and convince us to get into protests and to fights that we have no reason to be in, and these same people, and I'm focusing on certain groups, that they've never supported Black Americans in our struggles in our country, now want us to beat feet and pound the pavement and hold the protest to keep people who are illegally in the country and care about birthright citizenship. So my only question is, what did the president say? And I think that's the most important thing here.
The court agreed to hear oral arguments in the case about ending birthright citizenship. How confident are you that the court will rule in your favor and allow that order to end birthright citizenship to go forward?
Well, you're just telling me that for the first time. I am so happy. I think the case has been so misunderstood. That case, birthright citizenship, is about slavery. If you look at the details of it, the signings of it, everything else, that case is all about slavery. And if you view it from that standpoint, people understand it. But for some reason, lawyers don't talk about it. The news doesn't talk about it. That's not about tourists coming in and touching a piece of sand and all of a sudden they're a citizenship. They're a citizen. That is all about slavery. And even look at the dates on which it was signed. It was right at that era, right after the Civil War. And if you look at it that way, the case is an easy case to win. And I hope the lawyers talk about birthright citizenship and slavery, because that's what it was all about. And it was it was meant to be positive. And they use it now instead, not for slavery. They use it for people that come into our country and they walk in and all of a sudden they become citizens and they pay a lot of money to different cartels and others.
All right, so that was the president of the United States. Now, there are some very important key points that we must point out that he was talking about. He emphasized that the 14th Amendment was about slavery. It was about slavery. It was about making enslaved people citizens of America. It was never about when you come to America and you have a baby born, then all of a sudden you are American, or you sneak through the border, then have a baby. Your baby is an American citizen, and then you are tethered and you are anchored in to now become a U.S. citizen by certain laws that Democratic politicians like DACA have created for people to stay inside the country, because America doesn't want to split up families. And now we have over 11 million immigrants inside the country. Not all of them are violent, but a good portion of them are violent for people to stay the same. So what's the vast difference between the first gentleman and the president? The president is emphasizing, stating that the lawyers must make a distinction between people who are legally in the country and people who are legally in the country by the 14th Amendment that had to do with slavery. And he said it was supposed to be a good thing, and it is a good thing. So he's not trying to revoke or overturn any foundational Black American citizenship. That is the problem I have when people get on the internet and they do not provide proof or evidence of what the man is actually stating, because from the news report, it stated that it's going to limit birthright citizenship for those people who may be over here on an H-1B visa, a work visa, on vacation. They can no longer have a baby born in America, because that's what they do. They come over here on vacation. They come over here on visa. They come over here illegally, and they have babies, and now they can anchor themselves in the side of the United States of America using the 14th Amendment, which our foundational Black American ancestors fought, bled, and died to have. That's the problem that a lot of people are not understanding. So I believe that it's time to talk about it. Oh yeah, it's time to talk about it. Hopefully you guys are seatbelt in, because I want to take you back to 1868, where the ashes of slavery are still hot, because the Civil War was barely over, and a nation unsure if it would truly live up to its promise of liberty and justice. That's when the 14th Amendment was ratified, specifically Section 1 stating all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. This wasn't meant to open the floodgates of global opportunism. It was a surgical strike crafted specifically to give full citizenship rights to formerly enslaved Black Americans. I don't believe you guys are hearing me today. I do not believe that you guys are hearing me today. I'm just stating what the president is stating. So there is no tug of war between legal and illegal immigrants and foundational Black Americans. There's no tug of war of who country this is, who belongs to this country, who has the birthright. Absolutely not. So now we don't want to listen to the president, do we not? See, this was giving full citizenship rights to formerly enslaved Black Americans who were denied recognition as citizens by the Dred Scott versus Sanford of 1857 decision. The 14th Amendment was our emancipation legal backbone. It made us whole in the eyes of the law. It was not written with border hopping schemes in mind. It was not crafted to reward those who game the system. It was written with shackled wrists and sunburned backs in mind, not those who saw America as a loophole latent lottery ticket that came over here on a free meal. This wasn't about that. This wasn't coming over here, this trying to border hop and get in where you fit in and ostracize American people, especially foundational Black Americans, so you can work with those greedy American businessmen that boxed out Americans and especially Black Americans so they can have cheap labor. We're tired of the stereotypes. We've been tired of the stereotypes that all these people in the country who are immigrants, that they work hard. And well, we work hard too, goddammit. And we've worked hard. If you fast forward to Donald Trump in 2018 and then again in 2024, publicly floating and then began laying down the groundwork for executive orders and legal strategies to end birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. That includes revoking automatic citizenship for children born in the U.S. to non-citizens and illegal immigrants, target what's been dubbed anchor babies. Children born on U.S. soil who serve as a legal tether to keep illegal parents in the country. Challenging the meanings of subject to the jurisdiction thereof, arguing that those who enter illegally are not truly subject to the U.S. law in the way the citizens and legal residents are. Can we make this make sense? So you come over and you're pregnant, no matter what country you're from, what continent you derive from, but you come in America illegally, or you stay past your visa expiration date, so you're in the country illegal, and then you have a baby. So you are illegal, but your baby is legal. How does that make any sense? If you guys are all in the car and somebody commits a crime, do they first charge you guys with being an accomplice? I'm just asking the questions because the big question that a lot of people are having is, birthright citizenship hurting Black Americans? No, it's absolutely not hurting Black Americans. This isn't just some MAGA fever dream. It's a radical reinterpretation of a constitutional clause that until now was never touched. But it's about damn time it is, because illegal immigration has become one of the greatest economic undercuts to the Black working class in modern history. And birthright citizenship has been the Trojan horse. Please correct me if I'm wrong, who were building all the monuments in the White House, in the Capitol. It was foundational Black Americans who were building the first roads of America, who were building the first structures in America, who built the first railroad in America. It wasn't the Chinese. Yes, the Chinese did build railroads in America, but they didn't build the first. And then all the other railroads, Black Americans were part of that as well. Oh, it was the Chinese who built America. Oh, no, it was the Irish that built America. Oh, no, it was the Hispanic that built America. Oh, no, it was the Asians that built America. This is why history is so important. And this is why I believe that in some states, they're trying to eradicate Black history because they don't want people to come to this country, which a lot of foreigners do. They don't want to believe the greatness of Black Americans and the achievements and the contributions that we made to this country. We're not better than any other group. We're just different. We're just different. But trying to socially revoke our citizenship by someone who can speak a certain particular way versus what the president state and what he's going to do when he limits birthright citizenship. Oh, you Black Americans, y'all need to be worried too, because once they get rid of us, you guys are next. No, we're not. No, we're not. Well, you can't trust Donald Trump. I don't need to trust Donald Trump. I trust the Constitution. And if the ruling limits 150,000 illegal or foreigners from having babies to be American citizens, then so be it. Then so be it. Who is that going to affect? People who come to this country and trying to garner citizenship through their children or through their newborns. Let's get one thing straight. Foundational Black Americans are not immigrants. That's number one. We are not guests in our own country that we built foundationally up. We are not recent arrivals. We are the soil beneath the Constitution. We didn't come here. We were already here, and some of us were brought here. And we built this country brick by brick, law by law. Did we not? We built this land. And illegal immigration has taken this land. So when Trump says he's targeting birthright citizenship abusers, he's not talking about Black Americans. We already have constitutional grounding. This is not an attack on Black people. It's finally a defense of Black labor, Black legacy, and Black opportunity. This is going to open the floodgates for our children and our legacy, so they can have a future in America of being electricians and plumbers and welders and doctors and lawyers. Because all of these opportunities, all this funding, all this government assistance were given to immigrants, legal and illegal. Oh, my father came over here with 10 cents in his pocket and a ball of lint, and 2 years later, we have 3 businesses. We're multimillionaires. How did that happen? How did he come over here broke and darn near homeless? Well, you know, he came over here, he stayed with a couple of friends. Well, did he get government assistance? Oh, no, the government didn't give him anything. Well, how did he get approval to come over here? Well, you know, part of my family is legal, the other part is illegal. I've heard all the stories. But I've given many broadcasts on all the government assistance that illegal and legal immigrants get. So don't be fooled. And don't forget, a lot of immigrants, okay, and this is not anti-immigrant, by the way. I'm just giving you guys the truth. Don't think I'm head about immigrants at all. I believe in legal immigration. So let us point that out. But they are afforded loans because they don't really have a credit history in America. And there's some premise of, if you have a certain amount of money in your bank account as an immigrant, then you can be allotted and awarded certain loans at a certain percentage rate. There's all these benefits and subsidies for immigrants, legal, and of course with the Democrats, illegal. That's what people are not talking about. Everybody came over here broke. Really? Everybody came over here with no money, and you stayed with a family member for a couple of months and then you got it popping? Really? Okay. See, foundational Black Americans, we aren't the ones sneaking across the border. We aren't the ones gaming the hospital systems for instant legal status. We aren't the ones pushing down wages to paid billionaire pockets. We are the ones who are getting boxed out. We're the ones who are getting boxed out, regardless of the contributions we made to this country. This has become a mass exportation of our Constitution, a direct betrayal of what the 14th Amendment was meant to do. And who loses? Unfortunately, we do. American citizens, and especially foundational Black Americans. Greedy corporations and slimy politicians love illegal immigration. They love illegal immigration. And people just ask, well, why do they love illegal immigration? Because illegal immigrants work hard for cheap. Illegal workers don't demand higher wages. They don't unionize. They don't file complaints. They work for cash off the books while American citizens are left stranded outside the gate. You never hear illegal immigrants talking about, oh, we're going to form a union. We're not getting paid out just due. We're only working $8 an hour, and this job requires that I make $35 an hour. You don't hear them complaining. Well, why would you complain if you're in an illegal status? I wouldn't complain either. I just don't get it, because if people work so damn hard, why aren't you working hard in your country? Why aren't you working hard in Asia? Why aren't you working hard in Europe? Why aren't you working hard in South America, in Africa, in the Caribbean? Why aren't you working hard there? That is what we want to know. Well, America has all the opportunities because Americans worked hard to create those opportunities. That's why. Because we work hard. That's why agriculture, construction, hospitality, and retail jobs, once black strongholds where we American citizens had those jobs, are now dominated by immigrants, legal and illegal alike. Not because black Americans won't work and because black Americans don't work hard. It's because we can't undercut our own value to survive. Minimum wage is $12, but you asked me to do this job for $7. Well, minimum wage is $12. Well, the job is $7 an hour. Take it or leave it. Well, I'm not going to take it because it's at least supposed to be $12 an hour. Okay, we'll get someone else. And that's what they have done. And then we incentivize illegal immigration by the American businessmen that hire illegal immigrants. Yeah, no one gets a pass. See, we can try to demonize and marker illegal immigrants, no matter what ethnic, what demographic, what race they're from. We try to put this dark label on them, but they're being incentivized mostly by the Democratic Party and American businessmen to continue to cross inside of our country illegally or stay inside of our country illegally, given their visa or work status. That's the problem that we have. And when we try to compete, we're told we're too expensive. We're seen as problematic or entitled. We're replaced by someone willing to live 10 hours in a house and work for $7 an hour. This isn't a job crisis. It's an international class war waged with border loopholes and legal manipulation, and it has devastated Black communities. If people do not believe that illegal immigration has devastated the Black community, then you need to open your eyes wide open and sew them open. The same jobs that you see legal and illegal immigrants do, Black Americans were doing those jobs. So now we have sky-high Black unemployment in our urban cities and suburbs. Displacement from housing as cities flood resources towards illegal populations, underfunded schools. Look at some of our schools. Where is that money going? Oh, Chicago, you had millions and billions of dollars being funded to illegal immigrants, but not for the community centers in Black neighborhoods and those funding for those Black schools in those neighborhoods. And as immigrant populations swell districts without paying their fair share of taxes. Oh, illegal immigrants pay taxes too. Ooh. If you're getting paid under the table, do you think you're taking a portion of that paid under the table percent and giving it to the government? Absolutely not. Hospitals closing or overwhelmed because the massive amount of people that we have in our countries as illegal immigrants use emergency rooms as primary care, uninsured and unaccountable. Why do you think our systems are so strained? Why do you believe that America is inflated? Of course, there's many reasons why. But this is one of the reasons why. Yeah, they want to group us in this birthright citizenship. Oh, when they deport us, they're coming to get you guys next. That's why they put limitations and they're trying to overturn. You can miss me with that. Oh, yeah, you can miss me with that. Because it would not be a tug of war with our country that we built. And by the way, we're still fighting for reparations of what we owe, not what we're trying to get or be given or become a welfare state. No, welfare, no. What we're owed. They're getting citizenship by accident of birth or purposely. Our birthright is pain. Their birthright is privilege. So what Trump is doing isn't racist. It's real. It's about preserving the meaning of citizenship, restoring wage protections, and stopping the exploitation of the very people who were promised a shot at the American dream. Foundational Black Americans have been systematically boxed out a system that reward those who sneak in, work cheap, and then hide behind a constitution they never bled for. We bled, we built, we belong. If the Constitution is to be protected, then birthright citizenship must be redefined. It must be redefined and restricted and removed from the hand of those who weaponize it to destroy Black prosperity and American integrity. You cannot demand equality while handing out citizenship like candy. You cannot uplift a nation while pushing its true borders and builders into the shadows. Birthright was ours by blood. Stop selling it for cheap labor, because that's what it's been at. It's been sold for cheap labor. And now people are upset at President Trump because now he's going to tax the dollars that immigrants send over to their country that has been raising their GDP. See, anytime that you make money in the country and you send that same money back to your country, and so your countrymen and women now have American dollar that is 3, 4, 10, 20, 30 times the amount. That's going to increase and help your country's economy and their GDP. So why shouldn't it be taxed if you're going to send that money back? And then the president of Mexico, President Sheinbaum, she came out and she was like, I'm totally against that. Of course you are. Of course you are. Now, granted, there's many illegal immigrants from around the world, but a great concentration of illegal immigrants come from Mexico and Central America. So, of course, she's against it. So when this question comes up, him limiting the birthright citizenship clause in the Constitution, is it going to hurt Black Americans? The answer is no. And I'm not stating, and I'm not speaking for the president. The president can speak for himself. I'm not speaking for the president, ladies and gentlemen. The president can speak for himself. I think we need to get down to it.
The court agreed to hear oral arguments in the case about ending birthright citizenship. How confident are you that the court will rule in your favor and allow that order to end birthright citizenship to go forward?
Well, you just telling me that for the first time. I am so happy. I think the case has been so misunderstood. That case, birthright citizenship, is about slavery. If you look at the details of it, the signings of it, everything else, that case is all about slavery. And if you view it from that standpoint, people understand it. But for some reason, lawyers don't talk about it. The news doesn't talk about it. That's not about tourists coming in and touching a piece of sand and all of a sudden they're a citizenship. They're a citizen. That is all about slavery. And even look at the dates on which it was signed. It was right at that era, right after the Civil War. And if you look at it that way, the case is an easy case to win. And I hope the lawyers talk about birthright, citizenship, and slavery, because that's what it was all about. And it was it was meant to be positive. And they use it now instead, not for slavery, they use it for people that come into our country and they walk in and all of a sudden they become citizens and they pay a lot of money to different cartels and others.
Well. I know people hate hearing the truth. But that is what it is. Balance Wave says most entry-level jobs want you to speak Spanish. I want you guys to think about that. HR, nurses, et cetera, are expected to speak Spanish. That knocks out English-speaking Black Americans out of a lot of jobs, period. And that is absolutely true. Why would you need to speak Spanish in an English-speaking country? That English is the majority language being spoken. And now English is the official language of America. I wonder what could that be? Now, granted, if you're a travel agent, if you're dealing in international business, there are some jobs you need to speak other language. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm working at the nearest Burger King, why do I need to be, well, the population of people here are Spanish people. Well, they're in America, living in America, are they not? Yeah, well, why should I learn their language if they're in my country? Shouldn't they learn English? Shouldn't they? I don't think you guys are hearing me. That's okay. I know how to end it.